Okay, we are going to move into factoring polynomials. This is where we're going over here. We're going to factor quadratic trinomials. Before we get there, we need to get back to being familiar with the GCF. The greatest common factor is simply, in the simplest terms I can make it, what do both or all the terms have in common? There's many ways to do this. You can list it, you can do the prime factorization, you can list the factors in the calculator or by hand, or you can just look at it. Most of the stuff we can do in this class is by looking at it if we have some basic understanding of our very basic multiplication or multiples. If I look at my first two terms on this one, what does this term and this term have in common? They're both divisible by 2. What that means is my greatest common factor is 2. This is my GCF. How do we get that? Let's kind of just break that up. What are my factors of 2? This is how I list my factors. I start with 1. 1 times what gets me 2? 2. Then I go up the numbers until they start repeating or I get halfway there. There's no other numbers that's a factor of. So let's do factors of 4. 4. We start with 1 and 4. Next number is 2. 2 times 2. 3 doesn't work. 4, then I start repeating. Those are my factors. What's the biggest one they have in common? Well, 2 and a 2. That's my greatest common factor. Where we are going with this is we are going to factor that out. So if I have my greatest common factor, now what we're going to do is, what do I multiply 2 by to get 2x plus 4? 2 times x will get me 2x, and 2 times 2 will get me 4. That is where we're going with this. We've factored the 2 out and created my 2 factors. Let's look at number 3. I'm going to do 3 the long way. We're going to factor 18 and 6, even though we should see that the greatest common factor is 6 because it's a multiple. But we're going to do it the long way anyway. So let's factor 18. 18, what are my factors? Start with 1 and 18. After 1 we go to 2. 2 is a factor. 2 times 9. 3, does 3 go into 18? Yes. 3 times 6. Then I go to 4. 4 does not go into 18. 5 does not go into 18. 6, 6 are repeating. We're done. Those are all my factors. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Now let's find my factors of 6. 1 and 6 we start off with. Next number is 2. 2 times 3. Those are already close. We can't go any further. Those are all my factors. I look for the biggest number in both lists. Well, there's 6 there and 6 there. That means my GCF is 6. Then we can come in here. 6 times what gets me 18x? 6 times 3x. And if you notice, if you've done the little tree here, the 3 is already right here for you. It's ready to go. We're going to use that later. And 6 times what gets you 1? Sorry, 6 times what gets you 6? And it's 1 right there. That's what we're looking for. This also works when I have a trinomial. When I have a trinomial. Let's go ahead and look at the first one. I'm going to look at all my numbers. Oh, by the way, if they all have an x or variable, you'd pull that variable out, but this one does not. Let's actually change this one so we can talk about it. Let's make this a 3, that a squared, and that an 18x. So we will worry about that second. Let's first look at the numbers. Let's say we do my 2. 2's prime. It's only 1 and 2. Factors of 4 we have listed above. 1 and 4, 2 and 2. 18 we also have listed above. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. What's the largest number they all have in common? 2, 2, 2. So my greatest common factor starts with a 2, but they also have an x in all of them. Basically, if they have an x, we take the smallest of them. Whatever the variable is, we take the smallest exponent. We have a 3, a 2, and a 1. So we're going to take just that x out. That's my greatest common factor. That's all we really need here. But I'm going to go ahead, we're going to finish factoring it out. Now, I have 2x times what gets me x to the third power. Well, the 2 we have, so that's going to be 1. Typically don't write 1 coefficients. So x times what gets me x to the third? That's going to be x squared. 2x times what gets you 4x squared? Well, 2 times 2, it's listed here. X times x gets us the x squared part. Plus, we have 2 times what gets us 18. Have it listed here, that's 9. And we already have our x. That is factored for us. Greatest common factor has been taken out.